So we talked about the hardware ecosystem. And by the way, we'll continue to add more storage partners over time. Now let's talk about the app ecosystem on our platform. So we've always focused on becoming the platform of choice for any workload, and we've continued to have a growing body of ecosystem applications, third-party ISVs, certified on our platform. In fact, at this point, I believe we have over 1,000+ ISV applications that are fully certified to work on the Nutanix platform. Now, one of those workloads that we've always had a big heart for is end-user computing. Why? Because this was the first workload to land on our platform. In fact, many of you here have used us first for VDI, virtual desktops. And we'll continue to expand and deepen those partnerships. So we've had a long and successful partnership with Citrix, and we're continuing to enhance that. Now we have native integration with Citrix, and Citrix is NetScaler load balancer, so that you can now have integrated load balancing for your largest scale VDI deployments, making it easier for you to manage and scale your Citrix plus Nutanix deployments together. But we're doing even more to help. Today, I'm thrilled to announce that Omnissa will be supporting the Nutanix Cloud Platform later this year. I mean, this is an important signal of how our ecosystem is expanding. Again, in the past, it used to be that those of you who had Horizon would have to deploy this on top of ESX. Now you're going to have a choice. You can deploy that on top of Nutanix AHV and the Nutanix Cloud Platform. And together, we're working to make that solution available, fully certified, easy to deploy out of the box in the market. Now, as you grow your workloads and deploy more and more workloads on the Nutanix platform, one of the big things that comes up is the ability to manage all of this at scale. Now, managing at scale isn't that easy. And many of you here have deployments that may be smaller deployments of a few nodes, but many of you also have very large-scale deployments that cut across on-prem data centers, edges, and public clouds, and maybe even multiple public clouds. And it's all distributed. So we hear you. And last year, we announced the general availability of Nutanix Central, which brings you the single pane of glass to be able to look at your clusters wherever they're running, any place, edge, public clouds, data centers. Now, we've seen great adoption of Nutanix Central. We've had hundreds of customers use this, thousands of clusters being managed by Nutanix Central. But we're not stopping there. We've expanded the scalability of Nutanix Central. Today, Nutanix Central can now manage tens of Prism elements, and each Prism can manage up to 10,000 VMs, giving you this ability to manage at massive scale. Now, some of you had even additional requirements that you told us about. Many of you run sensitive, highly regulated data, and you require access to all of these offline in dark sites or air-gapped sites. So we are bringing the goodness of our SaaS solutions, many of them, including Nutanix Central, on-prem for these types of applications. You're going to go hear more about this in the Day 2 keynote. Please come back for that tomorrow. And Nutanix has had a long history of working with governments, the US government. We work with civilian agencies, Department of Defense, intel agencies around the world as well. And we hear their needs in terms of security, in terms of air-gap isolation. And we're committed to making those deployments successful. Now, let's hear from one of those customers today. Please welcome, from the US Navy, one of our long-term customers, Mike Taylor. Mike? Great to have you with us, Mike. Thank you for joining us. I know, Mike, you're a Marine veteran. You served 2 tours in Iraq. Thank you for your service.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm an old Marine.
Great to have you with us. So, Mike, tell us about your ships, the scale and what you're managing.
Oh, Mercy and Comfort are the 2nd largest ships in the Navy's inventory next to aircraft carriers. We can hold 1,000 patients, lots of capability to take our nation's best healers downrange and do wonderful things, not only for our service members, but on behalf of our country as well.
Oh, awesome. What brought you to Nutanix?
So it's interesting. Our adventure into Nutanix goes all the way back to 2017. We actually, myself and my predecessor, decided to do a bake-off, as all good engineers do. We actually went to San Jose. We met with Dell, we met with Cisco, we met with Nutanix. We went to the headquarters. We had very lively demonstrations to try to meet our mission requirements for a system. We were looking to move from, back in 2017, it was steel blades, tiered storage, all that. We were kind of looking to evolve from that, modernize. We had great presentations from all, but the Nutanix one was special in that when they came out to demonstrate the equipment to us, they actually brought out the NX servers on like a lunch cart and just had the servers stacked on the cart and allowed us to see in real time, this is how everything's set up. If you pull a power cord, here's how things migrate to the other node. But what they didn't know when they were giving us that demo was because the ships are an austere environment, if you could even operate this gear on a lunch cart, it's going to meet some of the requirements that we have for being robust enough to meet our medical mission. So that was kind of our foray into Nutanix, how we came to Nutanix, and we've been grateful ever since. It's been doing wonderful things for us.
What was your migration like? You went from VMware and legacy environments over to a Nutanix ESXi environment. So how was that migration for you?
Anticlimactic. We actually had Nutanix support come out to the ships, basically sit on the deck and kind of joke with us while they use Nutanix Move. The Move product works exactly like it says. It moves everything. The big thing for us, because we're a hospital, we can't take any downtime. In healthcare, there is no downtime, ever. There's no outages. And we did this live. Nothing missed a beat. Nobody in the hospital knew that things were, moving around. We were going from ESXi servers over to NX, HP. It was kind of, like I said, anticlimactic. So if I can say anything about it, it does exactly what it says it's going to do.
That's great to hear, Mike. As you said, the stakes are very high here. You're operating on a mission-critical environment. Your ships have to be up, and the hospitals have to be up. It's, what I didn't appreciate, by the way, I think you're actually one of the largest hospital systems actually out there, right? I mean, there's a 1,000-bed hospital, correct? Yeah. And so what's been the experience since that time you migrated all the way to today with Nutanix?
So it's interesting. We've had the both fortunate and unfortunate ability to test Nutanix to the fullest. We've even had Nutanix servers that have had saltwater intrusion, as happens from time to time on a ship. 2 of our nodes in a cluster actually waterboarded themselves.
Oh my God.
And believe it or not, nobody knew until we found there was water that was happening, because everything just slid over the way it's supposed to. The other nodes picked up, our failover cluster picked up the residual load, everything kept running the way it was supposed to. So for us, part of our, most places have a performance threshold. They need to make sure things are fast, things are available. We have that same availability threshold, but resiliency, redundancy, those are big things for the hospital ships, because we have to keep the hospital running at all times. Service members' lives will probably depend on it. Or if we're on humanitarian mission, the people that we're taking care of are going to depend on those services as well. So we've actually gone the full breadth of involuntary testing to make sure that things are working the way they're supposed to. We're looking to expand on that as technology evolves, as mission requirements evolve. We're able to work with our Nutanix support to continue to evolve our environment. I said evolve a lot, I'm sorry about that.
And how do you see this evolving with Nutanix as you go forward?
So we're doing generational refreshes. We're also looking at implementing some additional Nutanix tools like NDB. So currently Mercy has the new electronic health record, Genesis Theater, being installed on her. And it comes with a host of additional databases, as well as the databases we already manage. NDB seems like a good way for my non-DBAs that still have to manage the overall environment to be able to keep tabs on how we're protecting that data. So we have HIPAA requirements as well, which a lot of commands don't. In addition to that, we use Haiku, so we're protecting all of our things with that nice, tightly integrated Haiku Nutanix environment, and NDB will show us that our protection is in place with Haiku as well. So we're looking forward to doing some of those additional things too.
So Mike, I just want to say thank you for this partnership. You've been a long-term customer of ours, and you've been a champion as well, so big thank you.
And thank you, if I may.
Sure.
So we do a little something in the military. These are military challenge coins. I have one from both of your nation's hospital ships, Mercy and Comfort. I'd like to present these to you.
This is a true honor for me, Mike. It means a lot. It really means a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you. Take care. Take care. Thank you very much. Thank you. I mean, this truly means a lot. And again, I think it's just how we work with our customers and how we take care of them for the long term. And it's just great to see this. Thank you, Mike, again. Thank you. So Mike talked about his experience with the migrations and the use of the Nutanix Move tool. And I tell you, how many of you here use Nutanix Move, have used Nutanix Move? Quite a number. Quite a number. And there's a lot of momentum happening with migrations now. Here's just a few examples of migrations, and all of them have used Nutanix Move. Over the last year, since we met at Barcelona, we've had a large financial services provider migrate their entire estate over from VMware to Nutanix. 24,000 VMs in less than a year, and we were able to help them also further optimize their environment, modernize it, and reduce further costs as well. We're working with a large Fortune 500 insurance company, one of the biggest in America. They're in the process of doing a complete migration as well. That's still in process. They've migrated about 12,000 VMs so far in less than 9 months, and that's continuing. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we also have many smaller deployments. The largest civil litigation firm in Florida, and they posted this on LinkedIn, they had an estate of 100 VMs, and they were able to migrate it themselves in under 2 weeks. And we're adding about 700 new customers every quarter. And most of them are migrating from VMware onto the Nutanix platform, and we welcome them. To accelerate this momentum, we're enhancing Move in many dimensions. First, of course, we just announced the Dell PowerFlex solution. Move, of course, supports migrating into Nutanix plus Dell PowerFlex. Second, many of you have talked to us about the need to reduce swing gear as you do these migrations. So we're going to make it possible for you to do in-place migrations without requiring additional swing hardware. Long time request from many of you. That's going to be available later this year. Finally, we also hear from a subset of you that you're deploying quite complex micro-segmentation and firewall rules with some of the other platforms, such as VMware NSX. And migrating those over has been somewhat of a manual process requiring some services involvement. We're going to be automating that as well with Move. And we're going to be ensuring that you can take your existing security posture that you've implemented using these firewall rules and micro-segmentation rules and be able to transfer them over into the Nutanix platform completely automated. And we're going to talk more about this and more about security in general in our day 2 session. So again, please come for day 2. So all of this is about making it easier for you all to move applications from your current infrastructures into the Nutanix platform, making it more future-proof, making it ready for a multi-cloud world. Talking about multi-cloud, we've been working together with the public cloud providers for quite a while. We started with AWS in 2020, making our solution available on bare metal. We added Azure in 2022. And this year, pleased to announce Nutanix's availability on Google Cloud. Early access, summer, generally available later this calendar year. And again, the same operating model, the same full portability of licenses, the same software stack now you can deploy on all the major hyperscalers, using it for applications like disaster recovery, like seamless cloud migration, like elastic scaling of your environments, like expansion into geographic regions, numerous use cases. We are committed to continuing on this journey to help you build this multi-cloud environment and operate it seamlessly. Now, bringing all of this together, we talked about how the platform is evolving. The core platform continues to evolve. We're supporting more external storage partners. We're broadening the set of ecosystem applications and workloads that we support. And of course, we are expanding into more clouds as well. Beyond modernizing infrastructure, where you're going as a business is going digital. And the lifeblood for this are modern applications, new applications that you're all building in your environments. Now, as you look at this, you want agility and speed as you deploy these new applications. And we want to be your platform of choice for these modern applications. We want to enable you to build these applications anywhere and being able to run them anywhere. Now, Kubernetes has emerged as a standard with containers for modern applications and orchestrating modern applications. Now, how many of you here are using Kubernetes and/or containers? Quite a few, small number, but I tell you, this is going to be growing over time. Almost every business is transforming itself and using software and applications to make the transformation happen. And again, as I said, these are going to be modern applications. In fact, I think there's a statistic that says there's going to be more of these applications built over the next 3 years than in the last 30 years, or something of that ilk. So you can see the pace at which application development is happening is accelerating. Now, as you look at this environment, you sort of think about, OK, I've got all my existing applications running on virtual machines, and these new applications are coming on containers. Are containers going to replace VMs? How do I manage across all of this? And for all of those of you who are infrastructure engineers, you need to start thinking about becoming what we call platform engineers. But I'll tell you, VMs and containers are largely complementary. It's not one or the other. You've long used virtual machines to make your infrastructure management much better. VMs increase your utilization of all your underlying hardware resources. They simplify how you operate your environment. And they provide greater resilience. At the same time, when you look at containers, containers are very squarely focused on the application developer. They provide developers with far more agility, the ability to get applications to market quickly, the ability to scale these applications in pieces rather than in a big monolithic fashion, making it much simpler to scale and build these microservices types of applications, and also being able to use the richness of everything available in open source to build these new applications. Containers and VMs, in my view, are largely complementary. VMs help you utilize infrastructure better. Containers help application developers. And in most cases, we believe the best scenario is for you to run containers on VMs in the infrastructure. That gives you the best of both worlds. You can tailor containers to meet the needs of your developers, and you can manage your infrastructure very efficiently, and at the same time be able to mix and match and run your VM applications together with your container applications in the same platform. Now, there are some situations where you may also want to run containers directly on bare metal. I can see two scenarios where this might make sense. The first is in edge deployments where you're deploying, say, a modern application. We're going to talk about, for example, some of the AI applications. And in those scenarios, you may want to run containers directly on bare metal. The second is for some specific AI or high-performance workloads that can consume the entire underlying infrastructure without requiring you to optimize the usage. And in those situations, you could also run containers directly on bare metal. Now, you'll want choice in this. And we are all about giving you the choice, the ability to run VMs and containers together, containers on VMs, of course, VMs only, or containers directly on bare metal, anywhere. Nutanix certified servers, public cloud bare metal, and also native public cloud clusters and Kubernetes clusters, and of course, on bare metal Linux. Now, I need to get back one slide, please. Now, we've had many customers using us at pretty large-scale deployment in terms of containers on VMs. And a great example of that is Micron Technology, one of the largest semiconductor manufacturers in the world. Let's hear from Micron in terms of how they are using Nutanix to manage all their modern manufacturing applications. Let's roll the video, please.
I used to be in the semiconductor world for a few years myself, and this is an incredibly complex operation.
getting the recipe right is not easy.
Yeah.
And then keeping it on 24/7, right?
Yeah.
You cannot afford that line to slip up.
Yeah.
And so clearly very, very mission critical. And the scale at which you operate is massive.
Yeah.
So what does this mean for you in terms of IT and business transformation? What do you need to do to support the operation of the business?
There's this massive scale of demand and workload just to run our manufacturing operations. We're constantly downloading different recipes to different tools. We want to make sure that we're able to continue that processing sequentially without having any delays in the most efficient way possible. So in our traditional infrastructure, in order to provide that high availability, high reliability, and low latency, we would over-provision. We'd have completely redundant architectures. And even within those redundant architectures, each of the redundant servers, we would keep the utilization very, very low and never even let the utilization get to 50%. It would always be below so that we could guarantee that availability and low latency. We've been very pleased with the Nutanix virtualization solution because it's allowed us to have higher utilization with a much better scalability as we add nodes across the data center that supports the manufacturing environment, and maintain that low latency so that we can make all of these changes to the scheduling on the floor, to the recipes that get deployed to the floor. We have much more data. So in our Nutanix manufacturing infrastructure today, we have 1,000 nodes with 40,000 cores, with 2 terabytes of Micron's DRAM and 100 petabytes of Micron's storage data. The combination of Nutanix plus the Micron infrastructure together allows us to manage that massive scale.
The big theme of this conference is around modern cloud-native applications. And one of the things that impressed me about Micron was you're doing all of this not just with legacy manufacturing applications, right? But you've also taken a big step forward in terms of modernizing your applications that control all of these plants, right? These are all cloud-native applications running on the Nutanix platform, correct?
Micron and many semiconductor manufacturing is so customized and specialized that we develop a lot of our own applications, hundreds of applications, not just the manufacturing execution system or the recipe management system, all of these hundreds of applications. And we've really taken a cloud-first approach to those to try to make sure we maximize the benefit, because the workloads are lumpy.
And you talked a lot about automated defect analysis and so forth. And are you looking at AI as an option here to factor this in?
Absolutely. We've been on our AI journey for over a decade in manufacturing. Started with the early days of big data and then machine learning, and now even generative AI coming into. We have applications. I'll give you an example on the imaging. We are actually using generative AI to create images that don't exist yet for our new processes, but that we predict will exist, and then train the other models on those images to be able to then find those sources of variation. So absolutely cutting edge things that we're doing. But it's not just AI in manufacturing. So far, we've been very pleased in the partnership we have with Nutanix. We're actually accelerating it in our manufacturing networks. I know you're happy to know that you're getting orders from us faster than even when we agreed on the original deal, because we're seeing the value and the benefit. But of course, we're trying to now look at lumpy, wherever we have lumpy workloads. Engineering, when we're getting close to, you said you're I know you're an ex-design engineer. When we get close to a tape out, which is kind of the integration of all the different elements of a chip coming together, there's a huge spike in workload.
Right. Exactly.
For a short period of time until you send the designs to the fab. That's a perfect application where both cloud native plus virtualization can help us to be able to be more effective in being able to get through that integration process. In manufacturing, we had a very, very risk-averse approach. So it was not a low bar for us to clear and just shop for some. We were really, a very diligent proof of concept process to make sure that what we deployed was first do no harm to manufacturing, and then look for ways to be more efficient and productive. And I think throughout that whole process, we were just really pleased to be able to partner. Once we got into it, we were pleasantly surprised to see that the deployment was actually providing even more benefits than we thought, and we've accelerated. And I think the confidence to be able to invest for the long term, the partner who is going to be there both in terms of providing the scale-out capability and future feature and upgrade capability, that partnership is what really matters for a company like Micron, where we're building out the semiconductor fabs that are going to be able to power the entire AI revolution.
Wow. Talk about massive scale, mission-critical manufacturing. That's Micron. We're thrilled to be partnering with them and helping them on their journey. Now, this Micron story in terms of cloud native and how they're modernizing is going to play out across every vertical, across every company. And I tell you, almost every company these days, independent of which sector you're in, is going to have to invest in software to modernize yourself and how you do business. And that's really what led us to Project Beacon. And this whole vision of Project Beacon is around, which we talked about, by the way, a few years ago, is to be able to enable you all to be building these modern applications once and be able to run them in a very flexible manner anywhere without requiring changes. And we are committed to making sure you get the tools from our platform needed to be able to make this happen in the real world. So we spoke about the choice of virtual machines and containers, being able to do this, run this anywhere. You'll also need, in addition to the runtime environments, you'll need infrastructure data services. You're going to need platform services, such as databases and others. And you're also going to need elements of the AI stack to put it all together so that you get a platform to run these applications. Now, all of this with a single experience, because you're going to have varying environments. So we're bringing all of this together into a complete modern application platform, and we're making significant investments to make this a reality for you all. So the first part of this is the Nutanix Kubernetes platform. We announced this last year. We've been shipping it for over a year now, and it's actually gotten very good adoption over the last 1 year. It's everything about it is it's fully open source compliant, CNCF, Cloud Native Compute Foundation compliant. It uses open APIs, so there's no lock-in. It's fully portable. We also integrate with all native Kubernetes services in the public cloud, EKS, AKS, so AWS or Azure, for example. And not only that, it's not just simple for you to go run Kubernetes applications. You need a whole ecosystem around it, around networking, load balancing, security, observability. And there's open source components available for every one of these. And what we do is we put it all together, we orchestrate it together so that you get out of the box a full Kubernetes platform that you can run your applications on. But that's the first part of the equation. The second part of the equation is that all these applications that you're running also need storage. They need app-centric storage. They need resilience. They need data protection, which is why we embarked on a journey to make AOS fully cloud native. We talked about this last year. What we're doing is we've done, at this point with our engineering team, a complete refactoring of AOS to be able to run natively on any underlying Kubernetes substrate. We're starting out with Cloud Native AOS now being available to run on Amazon's EKS, Elastic Compute Storage Service. And what this does is it brings the benefits of AOS that you've all known for many, many years to native container environments for native container applications. So you get app-centric resilience. You can get maximum uptime across multiple availability zones, across multiple regions, and even across multiple clouds. You get full portability because that same storage stack is now available everywhere, not just on-prem, on VMs, but it's now available in the public cloud on Kubernetes as well. You can do cool new things like hybrid cloud DR for your on-prem cloud-native applications. You could use on-prem, for example, our Kubernetes platform, and then you could do a DR on those applications into native Kubernetes clusters in the public cloud and spin them up as needed. We've gotten terrific feedback from our early access customers on this. It's in early access and will soon be generally available. And here's some of the feedback. It's as simple to use as your on-prem solution. And that's by design, because it's exactly the same product, just refactored underneath. The performance is very good on native cloud environments and beyond expectations. So we are thrilled to be bringing the solution to market. And again, I think it's part of that vision to enable you a common set of storage services for your container applications. Now, we're not stopping just with public cloud. As we talked about, there's also situations where you might want to run your cloud-native applications directly on bare metal. And we're making that happen as well. So we're also completing the refactoring of AOS to run directly on bare metal Linux. And this will be EA early access later this year. And again, what this does is now you have one enterprise platform across any environment, on-prem VMs, native clouds, cloud bare metal, and bare metal on-prem as well. Now, bringing this all together, what we're doing here is helping you manage across VMs and containers, providing you a common set of data services. We didn't talk much about our platform services today, but you'll hear more about that as well with our database services also starting to become available natively, and common management in the mix. One experience to manage all of this anywhere, delivering you the speed and agility of modern applications. Right? This is Project Beacon. And as you can see, every year we're making steps in terms of this journey and bringing you more and more capabilities.